So hello, everyone. I am so excited. We were just in the ideation lab, getting those ideas, big and small, as to how can we continue this verve and carry it forward. And we are so honored to have the wonderful Emily, who has been such a rock star of silver linings, and carrying babies and feeding babies and doing it all, as part of our Empowerment League. So I'm so excited to have her here talking about the empowered career path, and that it starts with a very key and critical person, namely you. I love it. All right. So Emily, take it away, my dear.
Very cool. Well, it's good to see you guys. And I apologize. My gardening guy decided now was the time he is in my backyard. So apologies if you can hear that. Silver lining is the backyard is going to look real good in 5 minutes.
Absolutely. And maybe he will learn something. Maybe he's just like listening in. He'll be thinking about,
Maybe he's like, I'm going to empower myself to do something else. Well, you never know. You never know.
You never know.
Well, I am just thrilled to be here. Thank you so much. I've been a part of other sessions in the conference. I spoke yesterday. Some of you joined us over there. I see some familiar faces. Hi, Tina. And just so thrilled you guys can be here. So I am Emily Kapit, and we are here today to talk about the empowered career path, that it starts with you. And that is so very true. And so we are going to go through it. We're going to talk about some strategies to really make sure you take back your career path and you're the one that's leading everything. And what I'm going to do, we have an actual poll and a few people answered it. And so if you guys jump into the poll up at the top, there it is. A few people answered. Feel free to very quickly, as people are joining in, let us know. Have you faced a career obstacle in the last year? Yes, seems like a lot of you are dealing with one right now. Thankfully, yes, I have, but I'm in a better place. No, the last year has been smooth sailing. No, I've not ever faced a career obstacle.
No idea what you're talking about.
What's that? I love every aspect of my career. Every day is delightful. Thank you guys so much for voting. We'll give it another minute here. And let you guys finish up. It does look like a lot of you are dealing with a career crisis, and I feel for you. It's been a rough year. We'll get into it. So, all right, seems like voting has kind of quieted here for a minute. So I am going to go back to presentation. There we go. Cool. All right. So let's chat. Just to give you a brief background of who I am, Emily Kapit. I'm a triple certified master resume writer. I'm a career strategist and a career resilience expert. I run Refresh Your Step. We are a boutique career advisory firm based out of Atlanta, Georgia. But we do work with clients all over the world, every level, every sector. And I will tell you that the vast majority of our clients come to me when they are facing a crisis or know that they are going to be facing a crisis. Very rarely do we get the person who's like, love my career in every aspect of it, nothing's wrong. That is rare. So we want to talk about how empowerment and taking your career back and building these strategies for career resilience, they are all heavily intertwined. And we want to talk about how you can do exactly what you need to do to get back on track. And we have a proven strategy that a couple of you actually here today are very familiar with, have even utilized it. So we'll jump into that. Moving forward, okay, so a couple of discussion points. We're going to go into examples of career crises, talking about what that is. We're going to talk about the impact on your professional life, the actual steps to empowerment, and then we're going to have some real-world empowerment discussions. I know there have been some amazing and wonderful breakout sessions going on throughout the conference. Those are amazingly powerful. I was in a few yesterday, and there's been other ways where there has been interaction. And we are going to do it just a little bit differently today, where I want to go ahead and sort of plant a seed here. I did already by asking this poll who's currently dealing with something, but I want to do it a little bit differently, where I'm going to plant a seed, and here is why. Again, are you currently dealing with a career challenge? Yes, what is it? If no, what career obstacles have you faced in the past? Are you concerned about? And I want to give a few of you the opportunity to come up on stage, present whatever your current crisis is, get some real world feedback from me, which obviously will benefit you. And, we'll have a chat, we'll have a real, like, very quick career advisory discussion. Not only will that benefit you, but other people can learn from it as well. So we want to give that opportunity right here, right now, just here in a little bit. So again, I wanted to plant that seed. So a couple of you hopefully will volunteer and come up on stage. That'd be a lot of fun. All right, so just jumping into things a little bit more. All right, career crises. These are an absolutely inevitable part of a career, right? Professional life, it just happens. Different crises at different points in your career crop up in wildly different ways. And the reality is it has such an impact on your career growth and your mindset and your ability to just move forward and deal with the crisis. And you end up feeling just out of power, that you're out of whack. You can't actually move forward on your own. And it doesn't just hit you professionally, it hits you personally. And so I see this woman in this picture, and I think she looks like she just got an email from her boss who's driving her crazy, who's asking her to take on one more thing. And she knows she now can't make, her son's soccer game or whatever the case may be, or she's not going to be able to spend time with her spouse later or see her friends or just have a moment to unwind. She looks stressed. And so she's thinking, how do I get out of this? My God, this is so hard. And so again, I know that it hits you professionally and personally, and essentially everybody comes to us in that state of crisis. And my job, yes, I'm known as the resume writer, the LinkedIn writer, but the way that we work is so much beyond that. It has so much more to do with taking a step back, recognizing the crisis, recognizing the situation, breaking it down, and actually putting together these strategies to deal with it, in conjunction with getting updated documents, in conjunction with making sure the job search is aligned, the networking is aligned, the interviews, the negotiations, it all centers on one critical element. And we'll get there. Before we do, though, I wanted to talk about different kinds of crises that pop up along the way. I hear different ones all the time. And you can tell I am qualifying this a little bit. Career crises aplenty, not an exhaustive list. So the way I think about it is there's different categories of crises, if you will. And the first one I see is what's next for me right now. And keep in mind that these crop up in different ways, and sometimes they happen sort of simultaneously together. What's next for me right now really is this crisis of one. And it is a very real crisis. It's a very tough feeling when you are graduating from a program, or you're making a major move, or you just added a new family member, you had a baby, there's another, you're moving because of your spouse's job, something happens, you've reached that point in your career where you say, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And I get that a lot from executives. I have to say, they're 50 and they're like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. And I think, well, you seem more grown up than I do, but I get it. But that career crisis of one, that's a tough moment, and it's real, even if it's just you. So I never want to diminish that, but it happens quite often. And then otherwise, we have the next level up. I call this the take this job and shove it, which I think was a name of one of the sessions yesterday, but it happens quite a bit. And to me, this is when you've got a whole team being impacted by, say, a terrible manager. And everybody on the team is just so frustrated, and you just want to, like, more than one of you just collectively quit. So it's not just you, there's a larger group, but sometimes it's even bigger than that. Sometimes it's your whole department, your whole company is being impacted by mergers and acquisitions, integrations, oh my. So it could be your whole company, your whole sector, the industry is being impacted. And this happens a lot. And then you feel like you're kind of running and stressing out with tons of other people, and you're all trying to figure out what's going on all at once in that one company or sector. And then on an even bigger scale, didn't know this was possible until 2020, the global scale, the pandemic. this is, no one could have seen this coming, of course, but it's something that has obviously impacted so many, basically everyone around the world, and it's impacted us professionally in a multitude of ways, but it's also impacted industries, and it's impacted departments, and it's impacted people on a personal level. And so, and there's this feeling of, will this ever end? And so I've had tons and tons of clients come to us in the last 18, 19 months, whatever it's been, just stressing so much about what now and the impact. And especially as they're trying to go back to, they're being pulled back in an office and they don't want to be back in an office. They want hybrid. They want to continue teleworking. And how do they work it out? All of these are real crises, and they really take a moment to take a step back, break it down, start getting your plan together, start getting your documents together. And again, it all really centers on one critical element. And I promise we're getting there. This is just sort of laying it all out. All right. So the professional empowerment, it is time for you to take back your career. It is time for you to be back in the driver's seat. Surround yourself with the right team, the right kind of professional and personal support, and know that you are at the center. You always have been, and you always will be. But sometimes it just takes you remembering how much of a badass you really are. And so, for us, we work a lot with our clients on career resilience. And that to us means being able to evolve, adapt, and achieve your career goals despite uncertainty, disruption, and displacement, right? And so we teach the strategies for handling not only the current crisis you might be dealing with, but learning how to deal with future ones. It's that proverbial, teach a man to fish and he'll fish for a lifetime kind of idea. And so we want to teach each and every one of you how to build those strategies in, so that not only you handling the current challenge, but any future ones along the way, you got it, you can handle it. And we don't know what's going to pop up. We never know what obstacles are coming our way. So learning these strategies are so critically helpful. All right. So what we utilize, and I'm getting to this one major component here, we utilize what we call the capitalized process. My last name is Kapit, so that is not misspelled. It's just a really epic pun. I really like puns. I'm not sorry for it. I'm actually really thankful to my husband for having a really punnable last name that works well with the industry. But the capitalized process, thank you for all the hearts. Most people love it. And every once in a while, people think, please stop your horrendous puns. If anyone follows me on Instagram or Facebook, I have a ridiculous one up right now of my son holding a leaf, looking at me like, Mom, I can't believe it. Anyway, I like puns. Anyway, back to this. Capitalized process. This is a way to break down that situation, shift your perspective, establish the all-important pattern of excellence. Ingrid, me too. I love puns. Establish the all-important pattern of excellence. That is where empowerment starts and builds on. It's critical. Oh my God, the chat is just amazing. Establish that pattern of excellence. Everything builds on that. And when you know and can see and can understand the value that you have brought to the table and that you'll continue to bring, no matter that obstacle, you start to see your way out. That's how you empower change in your terms. That's how you build that career resilience. So next slide, here we go. So here are the three main elements of the capitalized process. We put our clients through this every day, and I see so often how it shifts that perspective. It helps them to really see where they're going in a different capacity. And here's what we do. I won't spend as much time on the first two. We really spend every bit of time on the pattern of excellence. But just so you know, theoretical job search is the first main step. When people come to me and they're in a crisis, the very first thing they seem to want to do is apply for roles. And I say, absolutely not. Stop applying. Don't. And why is because when you start applying for roles and you feel that pressure to apply, and you get that horrible advice to apply to 50 roles a day, don't listen to horrible advice. When you stop doing that and you give yourself the space and grace to not put pressure on yourself and to say instead, what roles do I see out there that are representative of what I want to do, but I don't have to apply for it? Theoretically, it's something I'd love, but realistically makes sense and trying to find roles that actually check those boxes. And it doesn't matter where the role is. And it doesn't matter if it's not 110%, but if it truly represents what you're thinking about, that's when you're being a lot more honest with yourself. You've taken the pressure off. You're thinking a little bit more clearly about, is this ideally what I want? Is this realistically something that makes sense for me? Like ideally, yeah, I'd love to be a taste tester for Hershey's or Cadbury. That was a real job a couple years ago. The Cadbury one, got a lot of emails about that. I would love that. Realistically, probably not going to happen. Realistically and ideally, look for the roles that are representative of what you want. And I've had so many clients over the last 13, 14 years that I've been doing this, that when they take that pressure off and they switch gears and they look theoretically, it helps them to assess the direction from a more honest way. And sometimes they end up repeating this throughout the process as they gain more clarification. The next thing to do is what we call a rec pull and a network assessment. These are highly intertwined. A rec pull helps you to understand who has already been saying great things about you, looking at performance reviews, testimonials, emails from managers or clients or colleagues saying, this wouldn't have happened without her. He did this and it was unbelievable. And a lot of times we're gathering that information, we're holding on to it. Sometimes we have to go back and look for it, but finding that existing information about how amazing we are. It also plays into your network assessment, that low-hanging fruit of mentors and colleagues and clients with whom you've already worked, who already sing your praises and can be critical players for you as you're looking to make that next move. So starting to gather that out. Your network, the real close-knit network that you need to establish now and always be cultivating, it doesn't need to be 100 people. I actually recommend keeping it small, under 10, for that real critical, especially if you're in that crisis and you need to start making some connections. Keep it small. Good conversations, we get more good conversations. Track it, you'll start to see it grow organically. And when you start with too big a number, it's overwhelming. But when you start with somewhere within the 5 to 7 people range, you actually start to see a lot of beautiful relationships being built that lead to something. So look to see who is saying what about you and how can they help. The next piece, and I get so excited because it's so important, the pattern of excellence. This is absolutely everything. Empowerment starts with what your pattern of excellence is. What have you done? Looking back at your career, how did you do it? What was the outcome? And very often clients will get a little bit worried about this. I haven't done anything. I don't know. I'm too humble. I just do a good job. Every single time I've heard that from a client and we talk about it and we break it down, floodgates open, and then they can't stop thinking of the ways that they have been impactful as leaders, as team members, whatever the case may be. And so we really want to make sure that we are thinking through how critical this pattern of excellence is. I'm going to go into it more in a minute. I just wanted to show on the screen real fast how this plays into every element. It is so the central part of getting that empowerment back. Again, looking at what have I done? How have I done it? What's been the outcome throughout your career? Noting it. We have a worksheet that our clients do that helps provide that context to them. And yes, it plays into the resume and the LinkedIn content. And from our perspective, crafting that and optimizing it. But then there's this amazing takeaway. When you have your record of achievement down and the ways that you have been shown your value and been impactful, and then you really look at it and you study it and you have these reflective moments on it, it impacts your job search. It impacts the alignment in your professional documents, your networking, your interviews, your negotiations. It plays a critical component in those interviews and negotiations. You're that much clued into how have I made a difference throughout my career? What have I done in different ways? The qualitative, the quantitative, and we'll get into that in a second. And then, of course, the continued growth as you grow throughout your career. Once you have shifted that perspective and you see your true value, you are that much more able to forever see that value. You have that strategy. You have that perspective in mind of, I'm amazing and I'll continue noting this and growing throughout my career. And so I wanted to show this, and I'm actually going to recommend for people, if you can, take a screenshot of this, take a picture of it with your phone, because I purposely picked these particular examples because from the people that we've worked with in the organizational development, leadership and learning space, change management, instructional design, these are the categories that very often come up. It is not exhaustive. It is not comprehensive. I just grabbed a couple of examples to show like different categories of the kinds of achievements that these individuals have. And I just started out, you'll see it's the beginnings of, in the black, the beginnings of how we would integrate that into documents, but then also how people would speak about it in conversation. And you'll see not all of them have numbers tied to them. Achievements are not always quantitative. They're very often qualitative. And I have found in this particular space, again, leadership and learning, learning and development, change management, advisory, career advisory, so on and so forth. There's a nice mix of quantitative impact, but also qualitative along the way, the complex and the outcomes being less numbers based and more successful based on different measurements. So again, not always numbers based. So I wanted to show that, again, take a quick look at that. And I think the presentations will be shared as well. So take a look at that. And then just wanted to show this slide again. Now that I have my pattern of excellence, my record of achievement, once I've gotten this down, I looked back at my career, I've really gathered out, what did I do? How did I do it? What was the outcome? What do I do with that? Now, I want to note, and I say this to clients all the time, when you start gathering out this information, it's not, you don't need to show details upon details of every initiative, every project, everything you've ever done. You do want to keep it 20,000 feet up in the air, the real high level details, just to be able to speak to it in that way. And then what you've done in more recent years is really where you want to spend the bulk of your time. We call it what's most recent is most relevant in terms of saying, okay, what I've done in the last 10 to 12 years, maybe 15, depending on how my career breaks down, that's going to be the most relevant for me. But it's a pattern of excellence. So sometimes it really is critical to show the bigger things that you might have done earlier in your career to be able to reflect those in documents. Again, to show that pattern that you always do great work. This is especially true if you are looking to grow in your space, as well as if you are looking to make a switch between different niches, between different sides of an industry, or to a different industry altogether, to be able to show that you always do great work, no matter where you are, no matter what you've done, across sectors, across industries. That's where the magic really starts to come through, because then you are that much more confident in your capabilities, and it's reflected in the documents, it's reflected in your conversations. You have a much clearer path to discussing your amazingness. And especially if you're making a switch from one industry to another, or one side of industry to another niche within the industry, you can see that path forward. And it all starts and continues with how amazing you are, and having that record of achievement really drives it. So once you've got that pattern of excellence down, reflect on your awesomeness. Ask yourself a critical question. We do this constantly with clients. Once they have this down and we talk about it, we'll say, okay, you're looking at your record of achievement. A good amount of this will make it into your professional assets, the resume, the LinkedIn. A lot will make it there, not all of it. But let's make sure we align the next steps with what you actually want to do. You've got your record of achievement. What do you want to do more of? What would you be happy to never do again? And this is eye-opening and like taking the blinders off for people. And I'll give you an example. I had a client fairly recently. She just started a new job, I think actually about 2 months ago, that she was in the academic space. She'd grown up in the academic space. At this point, she had a PhD in educational psychology, and she was a dean at a university. And she was doing a lot of training and development, actually. And she always felt that was the only space that she could do it, because she had taught at the grade level. Then she went back and she was teaching at universities. Then she got her PhD, and then she was, on the academic side, but the administration side. And she thought that she could only do this in the academic space. And when we went through her pattern of excellence, And I said to her, did you ever think about doing this in the corporate space? There's so many parallels, and FYI, you'll make more money. It was as if her whole world changed. And all of a sudden she saw a brand new path in front of her that she hadn't thought of in the past. And then she was also able to say, I've taught in the past. I don't want to teach anymore. I really want to be part of other people's professional development. And in a corporate space, I can see how that would be such a beautiful spot for me. And so she, that became a major aspect of her job search. At that point, it's another good time to review your theoretical job search. Where are you now really looking to take your career? Once you've gone through this process and you've taken a step back and you've broken things down and you've got your pattern of excellence and you've clarified things, well, now what's representative of your job search? Now what are you thinking about? And a lot of times clients will have much greater clarification, and they're sending us job descriptions that are much more aligned with what they know they want to do, and they are backed up with the achievements to go do that thing. Obviously, we want to redo those professional documents, whole process tied to that, a lot of collaboration, but the end goal is making sure these documents are powerful, they represent you, very achievement-based. No one cares about like the laundry list of responsibilities that you used to show on documents. Now it's about your impact. How well did you execute upon the things you were asked to do? And of course, reconnect with your network. Critical element all the way throughout. So I wanted to bring this slide up again just to reiterate how important that pattern of excellence is, how much it impacts the documents, the resume, the LinkedIn. And once everything is aligned with your pattern of excellence and you see where you want to go forward and what you want to do, impacting that job search and the networking side and who you really need to reach out to and how you're going to connect with them, the interviews, and being that much more prepared to go into those interviews, to knock them out of the park, and make sure that it's very, very driven around what that value is that you've consistently brought to the table and what you can do for them, that immediate value, and of course, down the road for that organization. And of course, it sets the foundation for negotiations. So often when clients have gone through this process and then they have spoken so beautifully about their value in the interviews, they are getting offered jobs at much higher ends of the range because the interviewers, the company doing the hiring, sees that value, and they're offering them, if the range was 135 to 155, they're getting closer to that 155, and they are that much more able to negotiate even more. And so it definitely sets that up, and then of course plays into continued growth. I know I've said a lot. I know that there's probably some questions, but I want to give you guys a turn to also come up on the stage. So I would love 1 to 2 volunteers. I want to keep an eye on time. I know some of us here on the East Coast, we're probably getting close to dinner time and kid time, and Lord knows my kids are going to try to come down here at some point. But I would love to see a couple people come up on stage and present whatever current challenge you're facing, or a crisis that maybe you did face or you're concerned about. And I'd love to be able to chat with you about it. We've got a raised hand. Let's see. Daniela. Yeah. Okay. I got to figure out how to bring you on the stage.
There she is.
Cool.
Just trying to figure out how to get my video on.
Hello, Daniela. How are you? Oh, she left. Where'd she go? Wait, we've got somebody else.
That was my bad.
Daniela, we'll bring you back.
Daniela, please put your hand up. That was total user error.
It happens. We love you, Liz. Anna, are you there? Can we see you?
So you can see me, but you may not want to see me. And I thought Daniela was first.
Well, we will bring Daniela back.
Yeah,
we definitely will. But you're up here now, so we can hear.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit. What's going on?
Okay, here I am. Sorry, it's still early in the morning. I mean, it's not, but I've been up very early. So, yeah. So what's going on? I am one of those who resigned without a job to go to. Okay. I feel so, yeah. So
That's
part
big.
of that bunch. I'm so like everyone else. I feel so close to the whole movement there.
Yes.
Yeah. So the
So-
challenge is to find another job.
Of course. Well, give me
Yeah.
a little bit of that. What you feel comfortable sharing, and if there's some aspect of this that you share offline with me, totally fine as well. What were you doing before, and what led to you saying, "I'm out"? Was it bad manager? They were asking things of you didn't feel comfortable with, some level of all that. And what were you doing?
So I was an HR business partner for a retail, three retail. It's a chain, but it's not a chain. But long story short, 3 stores. I was working across the 3 stores, 3 locations for a total of 220 people ish, with a team of 3. So it was me plus 2 coordinators helping out.
Got it.
The reason why I left the main one, I think, I call it indifference.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And you
so
indifference in what way?
yeah. So it's strange enough because I was the one at the end of I live in New Zealand, so the pandemic hit, but not as badly as in many other places, and people don't realize that. But I come from Europe, so I've got that reach, and I can see the world from different perspectives as well. Anyway, so at the end of it, last year, not many people got a pay increase, and I got a huge one.
Oh,
yeah. But that was delivered in a way that just confirmed that wasn't the right place for me. It was at the back of a meeting just before I was getting out of the door, and I was sold. And that was it. That was the review for the whole year of the whole struggle. No one had ever taken the time to really, check in with me ever, and that was their way of doing it. And I just said, nah. This is not.
So was that when you left? Like right at that point?
Well, no, I didn't. So I started looking for a job. And since I'm quite resilient, I must say, and since I was very, very close, and I still kind of am, with the people that I serve, I didn't want to leave. I wanted to just tough it up, man up, and just
woman up. You're way stronger.
Yes, that's right. But then at one point, a few things happened that just really broke me. So I said, no, this is just becoming too much now.
It sounds like for you and the way that it was impacting you personally, it sounds like you made the right decision for yourself. I just want to take a minute to give you so much credit for that, because that's a tough decision to make. But it sounds like you did the right thing on so many different levels, and including very likely your mental health, which is, nobody talks about that enough, but I'm sure that was an important decision for you, just to be able to be okay. And so kudos to you for that. How long have you been out of the job?
Funny enough, my last day was the first day of a new lockdown. We are still in now. Right. Yes, that was great. So I've been out for a month, 5 weeks now. Yeah.
Okay, 5 weeks now. All right. So in that time, have you been able to, because it's different with a lockdown and COVID screws everything up, as COVID. But have you been able to, damn it, COVID, have you been able to lock back into your network? How have you been digging into your network, reaching back out to them and connecting?
I did somewhat, but not, I haven't really used my network for that purpose, except for when I did apply for jobs. So I tried to do some of the things that you talked about, and I can show you, my achievements. And I put them in categories. And so I also know what I want and don't want to do anymore. So, and that
Right.
is something that is stripping me out a bit. The things that I don't want to do are the things in high demand, but it's fine.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
okay. What, tell me this, what are the things you do want to do?
So I think the things that I am quite good at and really enjoy doing is building relationships and coaching managers. And I've seen huge improvements, and it's such a rewarding piece of work. It's got its frustrations for sure, but
Sure.
the balance is on the rewarding side. So that's just very, very briefly. But so I applied for the job. I tried to be picky on the jobs that I applied for. I reached out to my network in terms of recruiters, letting them know that I was in the market.
Can I
And
ask
then occasionally I reached out for the network when I applied for a job in an organization where I knew someone who worked in. Yeah, so that's the only time when I actually leverage that. Yeah.
Okay. So and it sounds like you're starting to do all the right things. And I love that you already have your accomplishments and measurables and they're organized and you're reflecting on it. I mean, you are steps ahead of a lot of people, I have to tell you. Your document, like if I look on your LinkedIn, is it updated? And is it reflective?
No. Yeah. Well, yes and no. Yeah.
I mean, is it reflective of, can we see achievements, and is it also aligned with what you want to do next?
I haven't refreshed it in that manner. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So want to make sure that gets accomplished, because that's where people are going to look for you, right? Even recruiters. And when they send your name as a candidate to a potential hiring manager to a company, that hiring manager, that company is going to look for you on LinkedIn. That's one of the first spots they'll look for you. So you do want to make sure that LinkedIn profile is updated. It is reflective of obviously showing that pattern of excellence, but making sure that the branding statement right under where your picture is, as well as that about section, speaks to your great work, but with the emphasis on where you want to go. Right. And that sets a tone. That lets people know what you want to be doing, that you're good at it, and this is the direction. And your LinkedIn works in tandem with your resume. They obviously should not be the same bit of content. LinkedIn is driven by algorithms. We want to make sure that the people who see one and the other get something different out of each of them. But the tie point is always going to be your pattern of excellence and taking it in the direction where you want to go. So you do want to make sure that the resume is also updated, also reflective. Happy to share some samples. Message me offline. Everyone will get my contact info, but I'll show it here in a minute. Actually, I'll go ahead and put it up. There we go. So I know people have to pop off here soon, but everyone can see my contact. But feel free to send me your current resume, and I'm happy to take a look at it and provide you some direction on it, if that would be helpful. But what I'm hearing is it'd be a good time to update those documents. It sounds like because you already have a handle on where you want to go next and what you want to be doing, making sure those documents really capitalize on those things so that you know that they're stronger. You're empowered with a much broader, stronger, more powerful set of documents that will let people know where you want to go. And make sure you start to think through some people in your network with whom you can reach back out. And like I said, start with low-hanging fruit. It sounds like perhaps there are people at your job that you are not the most fond of, so probably not them.
That's right. Yeah, that's been one of the challenges. Hey, okay. No. I'm just thinking about Daniela and how I stole her spot. So yeah, I'm very grateful. But I think Emily, I will reach out to you offline, maybe, and so we can have some time for her. Yeah,
I would like to have another chat.
Okay.
So
thank you so much.
You are welcome. And we have a few minutes left, I think. Liz?
No, actually, so it's after midnight. I'm sorry. Yeah. So amazing talk. So my recommendation would be, so please, Daniela, please do connect up with Emily and take that offline, because I think, I really want to make sure that you get the time and the discussion, because those drilling in questions are so good.
Thank you. I was going to say, Daniela, if you are still there, you can meet me at one of the tables. I will jump to the table. I have a few extra minutes here. I'm East Coast, so it's only 6 o'clock. And yeah, so I'm happy to jump onto a table and have a conversation with Daniela. If anyone else wants to meet me at the table, I will be in the lobby at a table. So look for me there. Everyone else, thank you so much for joining. It was an absolute pleasure. Liz, thank you for everything you've done with this conference. It is just so amazing.
Well, absolutely. Please. Thank you for bringing your punny self to our crew, and so happy to have you as part of our league. And thank you for the wonderful sense of self that you bring to the world about how are we talking about those patterns of excellence, and also seeing them starting with ourselves. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Anna, for sharing your story and coming up on stage.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We will see each other in the closing session for this incredible day of the Empowerment League.